Radio. Hello, and welcome to the AstroEnergy Astrology Show on Blog Talk Radio with me, Astrologer Shelley Overton. Each week, we go over the planetary positions, discuss astrology, and take callers' questions. If you would like to call in and get a reading, you can call 347-994-3365. Call in early as the lines fill up. I just love that new opening. Hi, this is Shelley, and you are listening to the AstroEnergy Astrology Show on Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to the show this week. It was a great weekend. I hope you had a good weekend where you are. It's looking to be maybe a rainy day, but it's pretty blue, lovely clouds in the sky. And my weather map here on my widget says rain and 91 today, and then tomorrow rain and 90, rain and 89, rain and 85, rain and 88, and Sunday rain and 82. So I guess we're going to get rain. But if you're in Flagstaff, Arizona, you're getting snow today, and it's a beautiful place. I bet I've never been, but I would love to go. So anyway, this weekend I had my first metaphysical show or fair, Spirit Fair. It was called Spirit Fest here in Orlando, and it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. It was a perfect first vending opt. And what happened was there was a cute little boutique hotel in a town called Celebration on the outside of town. It's right near Disney World. It actually is the town that was modeled after what Walt Disney had originally meant Epcot to be, which is experimental prototype community of tomorrow. So what he had initially wanted was to create this town that was centered on like a Main Street feel, and everybody worked in town and lived in town and kind of connected to each other through the internet, or at the time, I don't even know if he had the internet then, but it was a very futuristic, technologically advanced town. And I know as they built it, they connected all the houses with internet so that everyone could have like connection to a central city computer that would tell you where things were happening, what's going on. It helps you in your daily life. And anyway, that was probably an extensive conversation about Celebration you didn't need, but maybe you enjoyed it. So I went there this weekend to this cute little boutique hotel and had my table set up and talked to an awful lot of people. It was really wonderful. I did 10 and 20-minute readings and had a few repeat customers the second day, so they liked what I did. And it was really enjoyable. I met a lot of new people, a lot of people in the metaphysical field, and made a lot of great connections and friends. So I will talk about that probably a little more in the future. We're looking into doing, well, the lady who put it on is going to do another one in February. So if you happen to be in Orlando in February, please come by. I will post information on my AstroEnergy page on Facebook. Probably also talk about it on my Instagram account, as Angelic Zodiac 1. And so, yeah, that's what's been going on with me. And anyway, we're going to look into a few different things today. I really couldn't nail down one thing I wanted to talk about in the title, so I posted it as Astro stuff. So what I realized multiple times, because as I have developed as an astrologer, I always heard that Chiron is the wounded healer. You never get over the pain. You just learn how to deal with it and cope with it. But that being said, I have a 16-degree Chiron in my chart. And so it's in my house of children. Actually, let me look at it real quick here. I'm going to look my chart up. I don't often do that. I talk about it, but I never look at it. So my Chiron is, I believe, having pretty much seen it all my life, is in my house of children. I've got to call it up here. Yeah, it's in my house of children. So currently my son goes away to college, and I am very connected to my son. We had a strong upbringing. His upbringing was very close and bonded with me, and he had an early birth. He was 5 weeks early and around 3.5 pounds. So he was also my first child and the one that I waited so many years to have. So I have a very strong connection in my heart to him. But he has a lot of Aquarius and a moon in Aquarius in his chart right on his rising. And for those of you who don't know, that means there's a certain amount of detachment to mom in the sense of self, because the self is the first house, the moon is mom, and Aquarius is detachment, emotional detachment. And the other part of it is he has Uranus in like 11 degrees of Aquarius, and that squares my Chiron, or excuse me, his Chiron in the chart, which happens to fall dead center between my moon and my Neptune in my first house. So his Chiron's right between two of my planets and the ones that are about ideal mothering. So I have moon at 12 Scorpio and Neptune at 15 Scorpio, and his Chiron's 13 Scorpio. So since he was born and I studied his chart, I was always like, oh my goodness, there's something here. He's going to wound me. I'm going to wound him. Something's going to happen. I was always very concerned. And I think his Jupiter also is pretty close to my Chiron. So as the planet Neptune in the sky gets closer and closer to my Chiron, I'm very aware of this possible wounding around children. And it's also, of course, Neptune is connected to all these aspects because his Chiron is right next to my Neptune, and the current transiting Neptune is on my Chiron. So I've realized something, that there is healing, and maybe other astrologers already knew this, but I haven't really been exposed to it specifically, having a Neptune on a Chiron. And except for, of course, my son's birth, his Chiron on my Neptune. But having his Aquarius squaring that is really bringing it to the foreground, because he doesn't want to be bothered by mothering while he's at college. And I understand that, because I've been smothered in my life too, from parenting. We won't say whom. But yeah, you feel like, can I just be who I am? I really appreciate that you love me to those depths, but it's stifling my ability to be who I am, because I'm being the Neptune moon in my chart and in the first house of self. I tend to acquiesce and take on the energy of my parents or my mother, but definitely my dad too. So anyway, it's a real dynamic in my life, and I've noticed that there is a deep hurt and pain by him not calling, or, even though I completely mentally understand it, the emotional wounding is there, but Neptune is helping me to heal that. And it's pretty amazing to realize that it isn't, well, you just accept it and you never heal it. I absolutely do believe that you can heal your Chiron. Neptune may not be transiting over your Chiron, or you may not know somebody who has Neptune in the same degree as your Chiron, but I can tell you, if there is a transit, if there is a person, it can heal you. And probably, unless you're born in the last 50 years, you're not going to have a Neptune, probably even less than that. It was right around the 60s, because that's where Neptune is now. Neptune takes a long time to go through the zodiac. It is, it's like at most 2 degrees a year it goes forward. So it's like 15 years in a sign. So, break it down. I'm in my 50s, and it's 15 years for every Chiron aspect. So probably, from now until, I would say there are four more, so it'd be about 60 years after me. So you might get a Chiron-Neptune conjunction if you are living to 60 years after now. So anyway, I'm seeing people there. I'm hoping you can hear me. I'm going to put it in the chat room. And I asked my aunt to listen in. So I'm coming through, she says. Yay, it's the first time. I actually reinitiated all the default options on my Chrome browser, which I think was giving me a hard time with being heard on this. So it seems to be working so far. We'll just keep a good thought. Nobody's dropping off, so I'm very excited about that. Anyway, so the reason I'm giving you this snippet of my personal life is just because of this new awareness that really Chiron and Neptune are healing together. And so Neptune is the universal loving planet. And that means that it will accept you for who you are and it will try and nurture you. It's a really wonderful energy. And if my Aunt Karen is listening, which she may still be, shout out, hey, my Pisces aunt, Neptune ruled, and she honestly has healed a lot of my Chiron issues and my mother issues. So thank you very much to her for that. So it can happen, and I don't want you to think it can't. So that's a really nice little bit of good news. And then also going on, she just let me know she's still here. And then also going on in the sky, we have still this energy of a retrograde Uranus, and that's at 0 degrees Taurus, 0 and 51. And so we are right on the cusp of going back into that Aries energy. Again, it's about aggression. And I do believe that when Uranus gets back into Aries, we're going to see some more, unfortunately, of these acts of aggression on society. And so I'm just looking. It's November 6th, 7th timeline. And so that could be, and it's in the sign of Scorpio, which kind of exacerbates it in a sense because the opposite sign of Aries is Libra. And then you go one over from that, and it's Scorpio, which puts Scorpio at 150 degrees and Jupiter at late degree Scorpio right before he goes in to Sagittarius. So for that 1 week between 7 November and 16 of November, we've got this inconjunct between Jupiter and Uranus. And so there's a really intense energy of war, and I know that they're having talks in Egypt. Is it Egypt? I don't know. I can't remember exactly. It's wherever the journalist was killed in the Middle East. I think that has something to do with it. I'm only mildly paying attention to that story. I can tell you it's probably a pet peeve of mine now because I've been raised with the Middle East being an issue on TV forever, and it only ever is. Out of all the places in the world, the Middle East is in the news because we have oil interests. Get it out. Oil interests in the Middle East. And so it's kind of a pet peeve that they continually focus on the Middle East in news stories. And it is such an upheaval area of the world. But what's going on there now definitely is this energy of Uranus retrograde really close back to Aries, and also Jupiter in conjunct to it is hitting some of that energy, and that's why we're seeing this friction come out. And that friction will also continue again with male energy, and so of course guns fall under that, police fall under that, and anything that can be kind of traditionally seen as male. And then we have the energy of sports or construction or things like that, just like pure male, like pure aggressive, assertive male energy. It can also be sexy. We can have some sexy undertones, of course, but at N degrees, it is an awareness. And also, this is when the Me Too movement really started coming about as a transition point. So there may be some setbacks with that. And obviously, Brett Kavanaugh is a huge setback with the Me Too movement in some sense. But of course, Uranus retrograde means that it's going back over where we've been. And so we are able to see that this is how it's been. We went forward, Uranus got into Taurus, and then after that, it kind of settled into Taurus and the feminine energy. The feminine archetype, and a lot of movies are being made with women now. Women are really coming out much more strongly in society and in celebrity and news and stories around the world, whatever, in society. We are seeing a lot more of that feminine energy everywhere. I mean, I'm kind of amazed because I've never seen it that strong in my life. And it's pretty fascinating and encouraging to see. And I know the planets may bring us back to the point where we are being maligned a bit and not believed. And there are other energies out there around, workplace, rights and things like that. So it's going to happen like that. It's coming in to help us to understand whether or not we want that change. Of course, we want that change. So when Uranus goes direct, we will go back and commit to that energy, that new incoming energy. I do have to tell you, this is so funny because every week I do my podcast, and for a while I was listening to Ann Ortley, who is, like I've said many times, someone I look up to in the industry, in the field of astrology. And just talking to you today, it was funny, it triggered me that last week I was talking about Pluto, and a while ago, probably a year ago, I decided it's probably not good to listen to her recent podcast before I do mine, because then it'll look like I've copied her, and I don't listen to her before my show. And I listened this last week, and she was talking about all the same things I was talking about Pluto, and I just thought it was funny because I don't listen to her, but yet we were talking about the exact same thing on the same day. So that's pretty cool, like minds. Anyway, so I wonder if she's talking about Uranus this week. Maybe. Anyway, we've got Venus in Aries. Aries, Scorpio. My mind is so connecting these two energies because Scorpio is a very, I want to say, like a warring energy. It does raise us up to defend. We are seeking justice, and we are warriors for justice in Scorpio. And then Aries, of course, is the god of war. And honestly, Aries like a good fight because that's their purpose. They're here to create friction and initiate things. So if we can look at what's going to happen in the next couple months with this retrograde Uranus in Aries as the friction that helps us change our world, then we will be where we need to be and understand it the way it needs to be understood. Quote unquote, human nature has been a certain way for eons, and now it's shifting. It's shifting away from ego. This is my personal belief. The opposite of Aquarius is Leo. Leo's ruled by the sun. Aquarius is ruled by Uranus and wants independence and autonomy, while Leo and the sun want to connect you to ego and to the material plane. That's what the ego drives. It drives your connection to the physical, your connection to your body, and your world on Earth. It really, honestly, the more I study astrology and metaphysics and spirituality and grow that way, I am curious to understand the ego influence in life and how anyone realized that the ego was a thing. And maybe I should read some Freud, but I'm not a big fan of Freud. Anyway, the ego, in my view, does connect us to our body. And so that rules the sun, and the sun rules Leo, which is the opposite of Uranus. So Uranus now is taking us away from our egos and bringing us into a mindset of connectedness while still maintaining our own sense of self. So it's a really powerful energy. It is about having personal authority in your life and autonomy. And so we're seeing this strong dynamic coming in, and especially as the sun in Libra ekes closer and closer to Scorpio, we're about to have a direct opposition. And let me just look it up real quick. I'm going to check it out for you here. I had to get my glasses on and find the page. So when is Scorpio moving in? It's the 23rd of October at 7:22 a.m. Eastern, 4:22 a.m. Pacific. So October 23rd will be pretty much in opposition at 8:47 p.m. Eastern and 5:47 p.m. Pacific, and that would be 1:47 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time over in the UK and any time zones near there. So we're coming up on this direct opposition between the Sun and Uranus. So the Sun is not going to like that, but the key thing about this is because the Sun will be joining Venus, which is retrograde, so they are coming together somewhat for a clash as well, but a discussion about what is your value. Scorpio and Taurus, the axis of Scorpio and Taurus is about value. Taurus is about personal value, and Scorpio is value, how others see you and your place in the world, and how you perceive others seeing your value, if that is cohesive. So, so we're coming into this extreme time of what is our value. And interestingly enough, so Scorpio is a feminine sign. So we have the Sun, ego, Venus, feminine, and Mercury, which is traditionally gender neutral, although the imagery of mythology is pretty much masculine. It really is a mental sign and not necessarily an emotional sign, and it does run down the middle neutral. So we have the Sun, the Venus, and the Mercury energy in Scorpio, and then we have Jupiter at late degrees, again wrapping up the old story before he goes into a new sign in November. So it's a really intense time. There's oppositions and inconjuncts, but I can tell you this is all because Uranus is retrograde doing all this opposing and inconjuncting. It's going to be about value, men versus women, self versus others, and the collective, Uranus. Sociology, all of us, how do we all agree or disagree on things? And then where are we going? Are we going to still behave the way we have, or are we going to change? And I can tell you, Sun going into Scorpio is going to shine light, the Sun, on the depths. And of course, Venus, Mercury, and Jupiter have been doing that, but the Sun will bring it out, and nothing can stay hidden with the Sun shining on it. So it will be an interesting week, a couple weeks actually, and probably through late November. It's going to be a really volatile time in the news. So Jupiter, again, last degrees of Scorpio. And let me see, Venus and Mercury are actually squaring Mars right now. Mercury is moving into a direct square with Mars, and Venus is retrograde, so she was square, but now she's going back to the Sun. The Sun will take the information, and this is the cool thing, is that Venus talks to the Sun when the Sun goes over Venus, which will be about a week into the new sign, so around the 30th, around Halloween. There will be a Venus-Sun conjunction. And then the Sun moves on and joins up again with Mercury. So, of course, Mercury already talked to Venus, and now the Sun, the energy of self, is going to be communicating with the great communicator. So we are going to really have a voice, and the voice is going to be brought to life by the Sun. Women, I mean by we. And so after that happens, then the Sun, of course, moves on and joins up with Jupiter right around the time Jupiter moves into Sagittarius. So let me just call up my chart here. So Jupiter goes in the 9th, and the Sun, let's see, the Sun will be 3 degrees. So on the 26th of November, the Sun and Jupiter will join up at 3 degrees Sagittarius. By then, Mercury will be retrograde at 6 Sagittarius and then get to 3 degrees a couple days later, but definitely moving back towards Jupiter and the Sun. So it's going to be a very powerful November, very powerful. And it's going to be about power, and it's going to be about fire. I wouldn't be surprised if there are fires again. I hate to say this, but California, whenever there's fire energy in the charts, it seems that it really brings out more fire in California or where the dry states are. So that's on the horizon for November, probably another scorcher for that. Lack of humidity or air or rain. And what else do we have? Let's see what else we have. We've got Pluto. Oh, today the moon is exact, within 3 degrees of Pluto at 18 Pluto. Capricorn and 21 at the moon right now in Capricorn. So overnight we had, and in this morning, we had the moon at Capricorn. So again, Pluto now moving direct again in the third decan of the zodiac. So when you go to each sign, you break it down by 3 sections, each 10 degrees, which is called a decan. So the first decan is the sign it is. The second decan is the next sign of the same element. So if it's Earth, it's the next Earth sign. So that would be Taurus for the middle decan. And then Virgo would be the third of the Capricorn area. So the Pluto energy just moved into the Virgo segment, which is healing. It's also the part of the sky where it's in the mutable section. So it's mutable and healing. So we're going to be seeing that over the next few years until we see Pluto move into Aquarius. And with the moon there today, it's about healing mother relationships. It's about healing career energy around motherly figures. And I don't have where Vesta is on this. And let me see, I could probably look it up. I think Vesta is also in Capricorn right now, if I'm not mistaken. And I think I'm going on a bit long here, so I'm going to wrap it up. Today is the 15th? 16th, that's right. So Vesta is at 9 degrees Capricorn, which puts her, it goes Saturn at 3, Vesta at 9, Pluto at 18, and Moon at 21. So we have a lot of Capricorn energy in the sky. We have a lot of Scorpio energy, and those two are in a very wonderful 60-degree cooperative aspect. So it is about major change of structures, and both signs are feminine. So it's amazing when you look at this and you understand the elements. You understand qualities, which are fixed, mutable, started out wrong, cardinal, fixed, mutable. And so it just really works together to create this picture as you learn astrology. And anyone who's Scorpio, anyone who's Capricorn, Taurus, or Cancer are feeling this energy as a direct hit. And then depending on where it falls in your chart, of course, you're feeling it in that segment of the sky in that part of your life. And then Mars today is also squaring Venus and Mercury. So disagreement with men around women, and also women and their voices. So the sun, like I said, the sun moving towards Venus and Mercury is digging in the heels and really saying, no, you're not going to get over it this time. And then having the moon on Pluto, again, no, you're not getting over it. Neptune is in the feminine sign of Pisces in trine to Venus and Mercury, and again, soon to be trine to the sun. And that is also a major shift energy. I can tell you when that happens, which is in the sign of Scorpio. So it'll be a couple weeks away. That's also a transition time for women, and it's a sentimental time. So, you know, gosh, I hope we don't have that happen in celebrity world, because a woman that I grew up with came to mind when I said that, Mary Tyler Moore. I don't think she's gone. Is she? Oh my gosh. I should look that up. She might have already passed. Oh well. If anyone knows, let me know in the chat room. And by the way, we do have a chat room open today, so I'm excited for that. I don't think a lot of people really know that, and you can go in there and talk to each other in the chat room. But I'm going to take a quick break here, and then we will be back on the other side with some readings. Welcome back. You are listening to the AstroEnergy Astrology Show on Blog Talk Radio. My name is Shelley Overton. I'm an astrologer in Orlando, Florida, and I would love to do a reading for you if you are so inclined. I have a number of different options on my website, which is angeliczodiac.com. And also, if you would like to see any of my artwork, you can go to shelleyoverton.com, and that's SHELLEY Overton, OVERTON. So I want to welcome you back, and let's take some callers. Oh, before we do, hang on one second. Before we do, I did want to say one more thing that I thought about on the break, which is not great, but the energy of Scorpio, which is volcanic, and Earth sign Capricorn is like earthquakes. That's also making a lot of earthquake activity and volcanic activity go on right now as these planets line up. So we're probably going to see heightened volcanic and earthquake activity. And if you don't research all that, earthquakes are going on every single day of the year all over the world. And it just means that they're going to heighten, and the energy of magma is activated more right now. So I wouldn't be surprised also if there are more. There was one yesterday, like 6.5 or 6.8 in New Caledonia, which I think is over near Australia, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, so yeah, just know that that's also something that could be heightened. And I was really putting off talking about a lot of these more intense global things, but, you know, it really does happen, and I want you to be aware that there are possibilities of that, but I'm not saying it's in your area necessarily. So if I do end up researching some of this and finding out more specific places, I'll tell you. And those places can be affected, if you look up places that were founded at a specific time and the chart of the town or the city is resonant to what's going on in the sky, they are more likely to have activity. So, yeah, I just wanted to bring that up only as a point of reference. So let's take a caller, and we have 817. Hi, 817. How are you?
Oh, hey, Shelley. It's Nancy. How are you?
Oh, hey, Nancy. I'm good. What's going on?
I haven't talked to you in a long time. I never imagined I'd get in. I called in right a few minutes after because I saw your post on Facebook that you were going live.
Yeah.
Oh,
good.
Last week, but did you start late last week?
No, what happened was I've been having trouble with my browser, and I thought it was Blog Talk, but I really think it's my browser, and it was not recording me. Even though I call in on the actual phone line associated with Blog Talk, it was not working. And ever since I put in specific things that I wanted on my browser, it was getting squirrely. So I just put it back to default, and it seems to be working. So there you go.
Yeah, because I called in and there was nothing going on. I'm like, darn it, I missed the time, or maybe she changed the time.
No.
Anyway.
What happened was when that happens, when I'm not being recorded, when I put music on, it lets that come over, but it's just the microphone doesn't work. And so I literally 5 minutes before today's show recorded a little message that I can play if that happens again, to let people know that I'm trying to get back on. I'm trying to work out the difficulty. And so from now on, if anything happens to me and it's dead air, there will be something there. So
awesome.
Don't worry.
Well, that explains it. I thought it was me.
Yeah,
anyway,
not you, but thank you for
energy,
calling back in and listening and giving me another chance.
Oh, of course. Oh, always. I try my best. It depends on if I'm working that day, if I can get in or not. But I just thought with all this energy, I've got so much Pluto. Pluto's in my house, and Uranus now is in the 10th house, and Chiron going back into Pisces, which is where my Chiron is. So it's going to be a ways away from it. So just curious if anything I should be watching out for, or what major shifts I could be expecting, maybe. And I haven't.
Yeah, you've got the career and the home life axis, AXIS, going on here in your chart. So, of course, Uranus moving back, it was almost to your house of home and family, which meant initiating that story of around home, of having more independence financially, but it retrograded. So now, of course, you're back into being able to communicate the way you need to communicate, which you've got a sun in Aries, you've got Venus in Aries. So I'm going to double check. You're March 21st, 61, right?
29.
Yeah, what did I say?
21st.
Did I not say it? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at 29. I must have said. You know why? Because my daughter's birthday's that day. I probably just, it's like automatic in my brain. Okay, yeah. So March 29th, 61, and that puts
Right.
at 1:50 a.m. in Chicago.
Right.
So that's for the people listening in who want to maybe do a chart and follow along.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, when Uranus retrogrades and goes back into Aries, it's right on your Venus. So the thing is that you attract more assertive people when you communicate. You can either be very assertive or masculine in how you talk to people, or you attract people who are like that, depending on whether or not you own it. So if you don't own it, you'll attract the people to project it back to you, to show you that side of who you are. And if you do own it, then you attract, probably people who are like interacting with that energy of yours. And so you're going to get the reaction to your energy. And Uranus retrograding back on your Venus, so you're really being affected by what's going on with the whole Kavanaugh thing, because that's and also Harvey Weinstein, because that's your Venus. That's like Uranus is right on your Venus, so it's about you and how you have your own authority and how you interact with men. And let me see, it's retrograde in your chart, so going forward would mean probably more assertiveness. Going retrograde means a certain amount of attachment, but because it's Venus energy, so I'm not even sure how to explain that. But your desires are more masculine. Like you identify with taking your own energy and asserting yourself, instead of just being a wilting flower and go, okay, I'll just be nice. Not that that's what women are. I shouldn't even say that. I'm probably contributing to a bad stereotype of women.
Right.
But, the contrast, the polarity is like that. Pardon me?
Yeah, and all this stuff in the news, it's amazing the blindness of so many people, that even people I know, it's like, are you kidding me?
Really? I know.
Don't even, if you haven't experienced it, keep your mouth out of it. And so I've been really trying to stay out of it, because I try to stay on the lighter sides of things and try to keep the energy around me to be of the light and not of this evil darkness. So I'm really trying to stay out of it, but every now and then I see a post I try to stay out of Facebook, and I see something from somebody I know that doesn't have a freaking clue, and you just want to reach through the computer and grab him by the neck.
That would be an example of your Venus in Aries.
Yeah.
So thank you for illustrating that. That's too funny.
I've been really trying to refrain, and like even my mom, she's very open-minded. She's in her 80s, and she doesn't, she grew up, with my father, just trying to show her both sides and say, listen, Mom, this is what it's really like, and she listens. Yeah. I give her that. She's a Taurus, but
that's nice. Anyway, yeah, well, it's also, I mean, I'm gonna run with this for the time being, because honestly, I have a lot of listeners online, but nobody's raised their hand to talk to me besides you. I did have one, but they dropped off. So if anyone wants to talk to me, press 1 and I'll do your chart. But right now you're the only one, so that's awesome. Okay, someone did, but we'll still take some time. We've got 20 minutes, so I'll get to you as well. But yeah, so it's interesting because I really try not to be political. I have extremely strong political views, but it's harder with what's going on in the news to keep it out of my podcast, because I'm like, this is my voice in the world. And honestly, it's partly about the voice of women right now, Mercury and Scorpio, and that's falling right on my moon Neptune in my first house. So yeah, I'm like open more now to talking. And since you brought it up, here's an opening. But, well, Pluto is, I was just going to say, Pluto just went into your first house. And so you're really like, this story is a very strong reflection of your life and the issues that you directly, you have a Saturn at 28 Capricorn. So you're going to have a second Saturn return here in a few years, a couple years, not even a few, probably like a year and a half. And then Pluto will be right there, and they're going to join up just at 22, and you have Saturn at 28. So that energy is going to be intensified in January of 2020. That's when they join up, or January or March. I think it's January. So, yeah, it's going to be pretty strong for you. And it's a major change for you. It's a major life change, but it's also a societal change. So Capricorn is about dogma and how you believe things should be and the way they've always been, blah, blah, blah. And it's changing. Pluto is digging deep, because that's what Pluto does, and it shows us all our ugly underbelly, and that's everyone in the country and in the world. It's not just our country. It's not just us and Donald Trump. It's everybody, and where authority is oppressive, where injustice is happening, because Uranus now is entering an Earth sign, and March it'll be in for good for the next 75 years. And so it is about what we intend to grow for the future. And we are really digging up the dead roots of the old system, and we're going to be planting something new. But, you know, some of those plants are refusing to give up the ghost. So that is also, it's also a reflection in your life, because you've got that fixed sign, but in a mutable position in your chart. It's right there ready for that change, because Jupiter is at 2 degrees Aquarius in your chart in your first house. So you already feel that independent nature. Oh my gosh, Jupiter, planet of, you know, vagabond and travel and don't pin me down, in the sign of Aquarius, which is don't tell me what to do. So you're both like, don't pin me down and don't tell me what to do. And also you have Saturn at late degrees Capricorn, which means you have been an authority on so many things, because that's how you have, like, you brought into this life the karmic understanding of responsibility. And so you can be the responsible one, but part of the dogma that you're having to shift is seeing yourself in a new light, where you don't have to be that responsible person anymore for other people, and that really truly is a second Saturn return, being responsible for who you are, what you want, and making no apologies about it. Yeah, awesome. It's a second Saturn return. It's always
like to figure out what's
opening up.
Like you said, authority of myself. I've been interested. I've always said I know a little bit about a lot of things, and I'm forever student in many different aspects, and trying to focus in on is which direction do I take all these little pieces of knowledge, and where do I point the arrow at, and try to stay focused into one direction to where I can be the expert and authority in the one or two.
Well, let me tell you, I've had this conversation recently in the last couple of days with someone at the metaphysical fair I was at, and the bottom line is, when you have a strong Uranus in your chart, you have many, many interests, depending on where it is. Trying to rein in Uranus, and of course now Taurus is in Uranus, and it's going to be, it's in positive aspect to your natal Uranus at 22 Leo, but I can tell you the generation, like Trump's generation and the people in the 70s right now, they have Pluto at late degrees Leo. So that generation's right with your Uranus. You're the one who came in to kind of shift that dynamic because of that and the other position of your other planets. So but I'm digressing. What I want to say is you have a creative Uranus. It's in the Scorpio house, and that can be trying to find value for what you're interested in, and what you're interested in is being creative and playful and dramatic. And so to sit there and say, no, don't have all those creative interests, or any kind of interest, is unrealistic. And Uranus right now is in your house of thoughts and ideas and concepts. So it's just exacerbating the situation. What I would say to you is go with the ones that you can truly put some passion behind, and don't worry about what people say about having to pick just one, because my life is the same way. I have a retrograde Saturn in 0 Pisces that is now in Aquarius at late degrees. I mean, it's gone direct in my progression, which means I'm wrapping up the story around Aquarius. Aquarius is multiple interests, multiple careers. I have 2 careers. I have art and I have astrology. And I tried to pare it down, but even my art is murals and portraiture and graphic design. It's like not even one in that field. So don't put other people's dogma on you, and that's what the Pluto hitting your Saturn is going to do. Like, you've got to let go of that dogma that you have to focus on one thing and make it good. Find the things you love and follow your passion, and do it in a quantum way, which is you go here, you go there, you make the rounds to all of them, and you make the rounds again. Like, you finish cleaning house. Yeah. You finish cleaning house by going here, and then you see that, and that goes in another room. So you go in the other room, and that needs dusting. Oh, dust that. Then you go back to do what you were doing, and then you keep going around all over. You
just described the way I clean the house. My husband's like, when you clean the house, you make more of a mess. I'm like, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
It's like I went to put something back in this
understand
room, and I found something that needed to be done there, so I got that. And then it's true, but by the end, I do deep cleaning. I know the surface crap.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that because
like
I love
a
astrology,
juggler.
and
It's like telling a juggler not to juggle a figure eight. Well, you're good at juggling a figure eight. Why would you not juggle a figure eight? Just juggle a figure eight. Just because other people have to roll their balls across the floor doesn't mean you got to stop juggling your figure eight. Go juggle your figure eight. Okay?
I love it. I will. Thank you. Great advice. I appreciate it.
All right, Nancy.
Okay,
good talking to you again. Take care. Bye-bye. Okay, let's take 917. Hi, 917. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. What's your name?
It's Anna.
Anna, have you called before?
I doubt it.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just going to put you into my database here and take your birth information. So what's your birthday?
January 28, 73 in the Netherlands.
Okay, so I'm assuming Amsterdam?
Yeah.
And what time did you say?
11:14 a.m.
Okay. Let me see if my computer will hold it after I hit Atlas and put in that date. Okay, come on. And it's probably going to go Holland. What are you talking about? I might have to put in Netherlands.
Yeah,
come on.
Maybe better.
Yeah, it's not doing anything. It's like I freaked it out. Oh, yep, that's what happened. So let me just put it was what it was doing was opening the Atlas, so I could tell it the proper term. But if I put in Netherlands, it found it right away. So we're good. Okay, so anyway, what can I do for you?
I want to see if you see any changes in my career coming up.
Okay. Oh, yeah, big changes. That was easy. Yeah, when Saturn hits 14 degrees, let me look. Saturn hits 14 the end of January. That's going to be at your midheaven. That's when it's going to change. So right now, you've got about 11 degrees, or translated 2.5 months, to really wrap up what you're learning around your career, the direction that you're wanting to go. Having Saturn, it's in Capricorn, so again, that's structure and authority, responsibility, and all that, and systems. It's in the house, the ninth house of growth and travel and freedom. So you've been trying to structure your need for freedom somehow, like you've been trying to put a form to it, so to speak. And you may have been teaching or learning, taking classes, either one. And so, that's kind of where you're at right now. And then as Saturn moves closer, like I said, end of January next year, you're going to be having Saturn getting closer and closer to joining the midheaven, joining Pluto, which just went into your midheaven. It's at 4 degrees in off of the top of the chart. So that's your fame point. It's the peak of where the planets are at right now. Pluto's right there, so it's changing what you want to do for a living. And Saturn's joining up with it, so that's going to happen. I swear, sometimes I repeat myself so much, then I completely lose like I memorize these dates, and then I completely forgot. I think it's January of 2020. It'll be at 22 degrees. So over the course of this coming year, there is a back and forth with you. So what you're doing is you're refining exactly what course you're going to take, and potentially even which city you're going to live in, manifest where you're going in the future. And that's going to gel in 2020. And then you're going to have a lot of changes around career between 2020 and 2024 when Pluto goes into Aquarius. And Saturn will go into Aquarius also in that time. So, the first 4 years of the 20s are going to be really big for you, and a major shift in your career, but definitely feeling like you need to do it, and you may even do it come next year, early next year. I'm going to tell you what I've told other people recently, and that is Uranus goes back in, it goes direct on the 3rd of January or the 6th, somewhere in there. The 6th, that's what it was. So when Uranus goes direct, most people make New Year's resolutions January 1st. I'm telling everyone, save it until Uranus goes direct on the 7th, 6th or 7th. I don't have the current ephemeris to tell you exactly what time, but I would do it on the 7th, because then if you make a resolution on the 1st of the year and Uranus is in station about to change direction, what you vow to do or want to gel is going to shift. So you may make a resolution to take a trip to Australia, and then Uranus changes, and now you really want to take a trip to the Grand Canyon, and that's your goal. So just make it after the 7th, so it will keep you in alignment with where you want to head this year. But it is a major shift coming in. And Uranus going in back direct next year goes into your first house. You have a 6-degree Taurus rising. So until March,
something's going to happen.
Yeah, so Uranus is in the 12th house, and it's really getting you on board with understanding your higher knowledge and wisdom, especially around your value, because it's Taurus. So it's personal value, love, and money. Okay, so you're really having to, and again, for you, the Uranus into Aries is going to trigger some issues around having personal power and asserting your own personal authority, and knowing that what you're getting on a psychic level is actually true and valuable and reliable. Okay?
Okay.
Do
you see anything around love?
Yeah, actually, I would say from now until the end of the year is a really good time for you, and especially mid-November, Jupiter goes into your house of commitment. You've got Venus and Mercury in your marriage house, and Jupiter's just about to exit your marriage house, going into commitment. So that'll be a big thing. And then when Jupiter goes into Sagittarius, it hits your moon and Neptune. So I think that there's like an ideal partnership on the way. And it has to do with traveling. So keep your eye open and do a lot of fun things. So it's about travel and growth and spirituality. Okay. So
yeah, thank you so much. That sounds great.
You're welcome. Yeah, it's fun and exciting. Looks good. All right, you take care.
Yeah. Take care.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for calling. Bye-bye. Okay, let's take 503. Hi, 503. How are you?
Oh, I'm
Hello.
good. Hi, Shelley. Hello?
Hi. Who is this?
Can you hear me?
I can.
This is Cindy.
Oh, hi, Cindy. Have you called before?
No, I haven't. First-time caller.
Oh, awesome. Wonderful. Oh, I'm so excited. I love getting first-time callers. It's like a little bit of new blood. No offense to my long-time callers and listeners, but, it's nice to have different points of view. So real quick, give me your birth information, and then I'll give you a reading.
Okay. It's August 25th, 1969, 11:38 a.m. in Portland, Oregon.
Okay, wonderful. So what are you calling about today?
Mainly just kind of whatever you see going on.
Okay.
I feel like I've been in a bit of limbo lately, so anything that pops out. Yeah.
Okay, well, what pops out is your Scorpio, 0 Scorpio rising, which is the exact same degree of my rising sign, so that's pretty cool. So, yeah, we both got Scorpio risings with Neptune in the first house. Your Neptune is at 26 Scorpio, and so Jupiter's right on your Scorpio, and I've been telling everybody, like, a lot of the early 60s babies have that Neptune at Scorpio degrees. Jupiter's been going closer and closer to your Neptune, and again, trying to get you to make your dreams come true. Your dreams are around having value within your own life and about yourself. And so digging deep, the psychology of who you are, Scorpio rules psychology. So you've got a lot of the deep subliminal issues that you've been dealing with over the last year. And Venus is there now, Mercury is there now. And so you're wanting to bring someone in. Are you married or no?
I am. Long-time marriage, yeah.
Okay. Well, you're going through some personal changes that may end up reflecting in the marriage, because Uranus for you just went into your house of marriage. Of course, it's about to retrograde out because you have a 0-degree Taurus descendant, which puts Uranus just inside that, and it'll go back into your work house. So there's some things that you recently wrapped up in work that will come back up as a echo, so to speak, when you have already made the choice to move on and do something different. And then that comes back up into your life through the beginning of the year. And again, you're going to be dealing with the old story, possibly around a male person from an old workplace, or being of service to someone who may have not appreciated you or been a bit selfish. That's potential. But you're going to be moving on next year. It's just you have to go back to this little, oh yeah, I did that before and now I've got to go take care of it again in the work environment. When Uranus goes direct, it hits your Saturn, and then that's about your value within the marriage and or partnership. So if you're in a business partnership, it can also affect that. So you're really going to be trying to understand your drive and your worth and your sense of self and power, personal power within the relationship and the marriage coming up for the next about 7 years. So it's kind of your story.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's your freedom and growth story. So you're learning how to have a new type of freedom within that relationship. So, there may be some opportunities coming in also to create a partnership for growth of some sort, whether it's a business or personal. That's what it's about. It's about understanding the true dynamic, the psychological dynamic going on. And that's what the Neptune in Scorpio is, because they're in opposite houses. So you've got self and you've got me and you've got we. The Scorpio is the me for you, and the Taurus is the we. And right now, Jupiter is in fairly positive aspect to Taurus. They're both in opposite signs, but Uranus and Taurus. Uranus just went in, and it'll go back, and it'll be closer to a positive aspect, I think. Let me see. No, I take it back. It'll be in conjunct when it goes retrograde. So it's going to be triggering some old issues around men and around being of service to men and not wanting to be that kind of service. And that's kind of what you've been going through for the last 7 years, because Uranus was in your house of work in Aries. So it was bringing out a lot of that assertiveness. And again, like I said before, we project. So if you own your own authority and your own drive and your own ambitions, then you don't have to have people in your environment being assertive and in your face that way, because you own it and take it into your own life and say, this is part of me. So you do have like sales and assertiveness stuff in your house of work. So I'm hoping that you got some of those messages, or I'm not sure, do you work outside the home?
I do not, but yes, so much of what you said. I actually just finished up homeschooling, and
awesome.
I'm trying to figure out my next step. So, yeah,
okay.
So much of what you're saying is just right on.
Okay, so you homeschooled yourself for a job or a career? Is that what you're saying?
I did. I was a stay-at-home mom.
Okay.
I homeschooled my
That's
daughters.
cool.
They're both in college now.
Awesome.
So now
I see.
I need to figure out what's that next step.
Well, it's interesting because I kept getting the vibe of retirement with you somehow. So that's interesting. Neptune is going through your house of children right now. And that's, again, it's a very long-term thing. It's like up to 15 years in a house. So Neptune is in your house of children and creativity. So now is more a time for you to find your own creative outlet, because Neptune wants you to be listening to a higher voice, your higher self or spirit, to direct you on what to do. And your North Node, which is the node of fate, it's the positive side of your growth, is in your house of creativity and children. And Neptune hasn't gotten there yet. So it's really a time for you to expand around your own creative nature. And then all the Scorpio in your first house is also trying to put the spotlight on you as a person and say, listen, I want to do this or that. And I'm understanding my own psychological nature, and I am worth something here, and you can't just take advantage of me anymore. And that Neptune in Scorpio, it's like you very deeply want to blend with the people you love. It's universal love, but it's about how to love yourself. That's what people with Neptune in the first house, especially in Scorpio, it's the psychology of loving yourself. Okay? And I can tell you.
So that's like a life lesson?
Yeah.
Something that I'd be always working on.
Yeah. But Jupiter is right there right now. Jupiter is conjunct your Neptune within 1 degree. It's at 25 and your Neptune's 26. So he's really trying to get you to wrap up the story around your own worth and let you come out the other side. And when Jupiter goes into Sagittarius, it will bring money if you're looking to do something. I mean, you could do real estate. You would make money at real estate. It's also my chart shows that same thing. Like the money comes from real estate or connecting with people of other cultures or other countries. So, import businesses or travel, things like that, or even traveling to another country or having your products in another country, because you have Aries in the house of work, which can also rule sales. And Uranus going into Taurus rules retail sales. And so, having.
How does it look for an online tarot reading business? Because that could be all over the world.
Yeah, no, you've got Mars in Sagittarius, and even though I often say travel, it does rule higher understanding of spirituality. So that would be where the spiritual energy is. And also Pisces in the creative house is tarot and spirituality. So, yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, Uranus is online. I would say the best thing you should do with a Saturn and Taurus is have a partner, or at least get your husband on board. One of the two. Like you've either got to have someone else helping you, because part of your nature is to have that feedback. Having Saturn in the Libra house, you want to have another person. You don't want to just go and do you. So if your husband's on board, that's tremendously helpful. Okay?
Okay, excellent. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It was fun talking
very
to
helpful.
you. Okay, great.
You too.
You take care. All right. Have a good day.
Too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. All right, that's the show for this week, and I'm so excited I didn't get cut off. Woohoo! Anyway, I wish you the best, and we'll talk again next week, so have a lovely weekend. Bye. Thanks for stopping by AstroEnergy this week. If you would like to get a hold of Shelley Overton, you can get her at astrologerangel.com, on Facebook at AstroEnergy or Astrologer Angel. The music was provided by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com, with additional music by Ironwood Rain. Check them out on the net at Ironwood Rain.